Steel flashed, and everyone ducked. Except her. She caught the blade midair with nothing but her hands and pure instinct. That's when silence hit the room. Lieutenant Commander Samara, Blade, Chun had been assigned to Naval Special Warfare Training Center in Coronado for exactly 13 weeks. At 5 feet 6 inches with jet black hair pulled back in regulation style and dark eyes that seemed to track movement with predatory precision, she moved through her medical duties with the kind of fluid grace that made her presence both calming and somehow electric. She carried her medical equipment with practiced ease, treated injuries with expert clinical care, and maintained the supportive presence that characterized dedicated military nurses. To the SEAL candidates and training staff, she was simply their assigned medical officer, competent, caring, and completely professional in her medical role. What made Lieutenant Commander Chin particularly effective, though few recognized it at the time, was her uncanny ability to react to sudden movements and threats with reflexes that seemed almost supernatural. During chaotic Hell Week scenarios, she would dodge flying equipment and debris without appearing to look. During weapons training exercises, she demonstrated peripheral vision and reaction speeds that seemed to defy human limitations. During high-stress training situations, she maintained situational awareness that allowed her to anticipate and avoid dangers that others never saw coming. Her medical bay was organized with military precision that exceeded standard requirements. Every piece of equipment had its designated place, every medical procedure was executed with obsessive attention to detail, and every emergency response was coordinated with efficiency that impressed even senior medical officers. But there were subtle differences that most people overlooked, reaction speeds that seemed exceptionally fast, hand-eye coordination that appeared almost preternatural, and a personal readiness that seemed to come from training far beyond medical education. The candidates knew her through routine medical encounters and growing curiosity. Ma'am, when they required medical attention, Lieutenant Commander Chun, when discussing her professional capabilities, or Doc Chun, in everyday conversation. None of them had questioned her background beyond standard medical training, though many had noticed she possessed unusually sharp reflexes and seemed to move with precision that exceeded typical medical officer coordination. But extraordinary abilities often remain hidden until the moment demands their revelation, especially when they involve people whose specialized training remains carefully concealed behind compassionate professional assignments. Welcome to Silent Salute, where we uncover the extraordinary stories hiding behind ordinary military assignments. Before we dive into this incredible tale, tell us in the comments which country you're watching from today. And if you believe that true mastery reveals itself in moments of crisis, hit that subscribe button to support our channel. We're honored to share these remarkable stories with you. Naval Special Warfare Training Center in the spring of 2022 was operating under enhanced security protocols that required constant vigilance against potential threats while maintaining effective training operations. Home to the most elite naval warrior training programs in the world, the facility implemented comprehensive security measures that protected classified training methods while enabling realistic preparation for actual combat environments. The medical support required for such intensive training was comprehensive, demanding, and absolutely critical for maintaining both candidate safety and operational security. The daily rhythm at Coronado was carefully orchestrated to balance training effectiveness with security awareness. Morning brought physical conditioning that tested candidates while maintaining protective measures against potential observation or infiltration. Midday featured tactical training and weapons instruction that emphasized threat recognition, including live-fire exercises, close-quarters combat drills, and reaction training that developed instinctive defensive responses. Afternoon included specialized skills training that built operational capabilities under realistic conditions, such as combat diving, advanced medical training, and defensive techniques instruction. Evening brought security briefings and protective awareness training that prepared candidates for threats they might encounter during actual operations. Through it all, Lieutenant Commander Chun provided medical support with steady professionalism that had characterized her entire assignment. Her medical expertise was universally respected, her emergency response capabilities were unquestioned, and her ability to handle any medical situation that arose during training impressed instructors and candidates alike. She could treat complex trauma while maintaining awareness of potential security threats, coordinate medical evacuations without compromising protective protocols, and provide medical oversight for dangerous training scenarios while demonstrating reaction speeds that seemed to anticipate problems before they developed. The training environment at Coronado was deliberately designed to test candidate responses to unexpected threats while building reflexes that would be essential for actual special operations. Every exercise included elements that tested their ability to recognize and respond to sudden dangers, developing the split-second reaction times and threat assessment capabilities essential for survival in hostile environments. Lieutenant Commander Chun had established herself as more than exceptional medical support. She had become a stabilizing presence who somehow seemed immune to the chaos and sudden developments that characterized intensive training. Her ability to maintain composure while processing multiple simultaneous threats impressed instructors and candidates alike. She could anticipate medical needs based on developing situations, position herself to avoid hazards that others didn't recognize, and coordinate with training staff in ways that demonstrated awareness that exceeded medical oversight requirements. The candidates had formed clear impressions about her role and capabilities that went beyond medical expertise. She was outstanding medical support who understood the unpredictable nature of their training environment. Her medical knowledge was comprehensive, her threat awareness was remarkable, and her ability to react to sudden developments was exceptional. But she also possessed something that seemed almost mystical: reflexes and coordination that allowed her to respond to threats and hazards with speed that exceeded human expectations. Her interactions with candidates revealed capabilities that exceeded medical requirements. During medical treatment sessions, she demonstrated hand coordination that impressed even candidates with extensive martial arts backgrounds. During tactical training observations, she showed reaction speeds that enhanced both safety and tactical learning. During conversations about defensive techniques, she displayed understanding of threat response and evasion that suggested specialized training beyond medical education. Among the candidates was Petty Officer First Class Marcus "Lightning" Martinez, a former Army Special Forces operator who'd served multiple combat deployments and had extensive martial arts training before applying for SEAL training. Martinez was highly respected by his fellow candidates for his combat experience and defensive skills, and his observations of Lieutenant Commander Chen reflected growing recognition of her unusual capabilities. "Doc Chen has the fastest reflexes I've seen outside of professional martial artists," Martinez had mentioned to his swim buddy during their 12th week. "Her reaction speeds and coordination exceed most combat personnel I've served with. She moves like someone who's been trained in advanced defensive techniques." Martinez's observation was more accurate than he realized. Lieutenant Commander Chen's reflexes weren't developed through medical training. They were specialized capabilities developed through training programs that most medical personnel never encounter. Her reaction speeds came from proven experience in situations where split-second responses meant survival. Seaman First Class Jake "Viper" Thompson, who'd served as a Navy security specialist and had martial arts training before SEAL training, offered his perspective on Lieutenant Commander Chen's exceptional abilities. Some medical officers develop enhanced reflexes through specialized training or martial arts study. Doc Chen's coordination and reaction capabilities suggest extensive training in defensive techniques or maybe specialized security assignments. But Thompson's theory, while logical, couldn't fully explain the specific type of reflexes and coordination Lieutenant Commander Chen displayed, the kind that suggested not just martial arts training, but proven effectiveness in situations where defensive capabilities had been tested under actual threat conditions. There were details that, in retrospect, should have raised questions about her specialized training. During observations of defensive techniques instruction, she demonstrated understanding of martial arts principles that exceeded medical oversight requirements. During equipment handling, she displayed coordination that suggested extensive training in precision movement and threat response. During conversations about defensive tactics, she provided insights that indicated specialized knowledge of combat applications rather than academic study. Her physical conditioning exceeded what most medical officers maintained, often demonstrating flexibility and coordination that matched elite martial artists. Her tactical movement during routine duties suggested training in defensive positioning that exceeded medical education. Her threat scanning during training activities indicated experience in environments where constant vigilance and immediate response were required for survival. Chief Petty Officer David Sensei Stevens, a 24-year SEAL veteran who served as defensive techniques instructor and held black belts in multiple martial arts, had noticed these details more than most. "There's something different about Lieutenant Commander Chun," he'd mentioned to the training officer during their weekly briefing. "Her reflexes and coordination suggest martial arts training that exceeds medical education. Her defensive capabilities and reaction speeds indicate specialized training in combat applications." Stevens' assessment identified the key characteristic that distinguished Lieutenant Commander Chin from other medical officers. Her defensive capabilities consistently exceeded what medical training would provide. Her reflexes suggested proven training in situations where defensive techniques were essential for survival, and her interaction with defensive training personnel reflected knowledge that came from specialized experience rather than academic study. Master Sergeant Tom "Warrior" Wilson, who had 30 years of special operations experience and had trained with some of the world's most skilled martial artists, had also observed Lieutenant Commander Chin's unusual capabilities. "She possesses defensive skills that exceed medical personnel," Wilson had told the training commander during their monthly assessment meeting. "Her reflexes and coordination suggest she's been trained in martial arts applications that have been tested under actual threat conditions." Wilson's observation reflected recognition that Lieutenant Commander Chin's abilities exceeded medical officer qualifications and suggested specialized training that had been proven effective under actual defensive situations. The incident that would reveal everything occurred during Week 13, when a security exercise would test facility defensive procedures and force Lieutenant Commander Chin to demonstrate capabilities that would shock everyone who witnessed them. The exercise was designed to test candidate and staff response to potential security threats while evaluating protective measures and reaction protocols. The scenario included simulated hostile infiltration with personnel playing the roles of potential threats to test facility security and individual defensive readiness. Lieutenant Commander Chun was providing medical oversight for the exercise, positioned in the main training area where she could monitor candidate activities while maintaining readiness to respond to medical emergencies. Her role required coordination with security personnel while maintaining tactical awareness of the exercise developments. During the most complex phase of the exercise, an actual security incident occurred that transformed training simulation into genuine threat response. A disgruntled former employee had bypassed facility security and entered the training area with obvious hostile intent, carrying a combat knife and displaying behavior that indicated immediate danger to personnel. The security breach was detected by surveillance systems, but the intruder had advanced into the training area before security forces could intercept. Armed with a knife and showing obvious intent to cause harm, the intruder posed immediate threat to multiple candidates and staff who were engaged in training activities. The intruder's approach was detected by candidates who began implementing defensive procedures, but his advance toward personnel created escalating danger that required immediate response to prevent casualties. In a moment of explosive violence, the armed intruder threw his combat knife with deadly accuracy toward a group of candidates who were positioned with limited ability to evade the incoming blade. The knife flew through the air with lethal velocity, its trajectory aimed at candidates who were seconds away from serious injury or death. The throw was professional and precise, indicating that the intruder possessed combat skills and intended maximum harm. Every person in the training area faced the same horrific realization simultaneously. A combat knife was flying toward candidates with deadly intent, and there was no time for conventional defensive measures or protective response. Except for Lieutenant Commander Chen. While everyone else was ducking for cover or attempting to warn the intended victims, Lieutenant Commander Chen was already moving with reflexes and precision that seemed to defy physical laws. Her response to the thrown knife was instantaneous and revealed defensive capabilities that shocked everyone who witnessed them. Moving with speed that seemed supernatural, she intercepted the knife's flight path with precise timing that indicated training and experience far beyond medical education. Using barehanded techniques that demonstrated master-level martial arts training, Lieutenant Commander Chen caught the flying blade in midair with precision that prevented injury while neutralizing the threat completely. Her defensive technique was flawless, demonstrating capabilities that exceeded what most martial artists could achieve under ideal conditions. The knife was secured and the threat neutralized before any harm could occur, accomplished through defensive skills that exceeded anything the candidates or instructors had imagined possible from medical personnel. The entire sequence had lasted less than 3 seconds, but it demonstrated martial arts capabilities that exceeded the understanding of everyone who witnessed them. The training area fell into absolute silence as personnel processed what they had just observed. Their medical officer had just caught a thrown combat knife with bare hands using defensive techniques that exceeded the capabilities of most martial arts masters. Dokchin just caught a thrown knife with bare hands using martial arts techniques that exceed most combat specialists, Martinez said quietly to his teammates. Her defensive skills and reaction capabilities suggest training that far exceeds medical education. Chief Stevens, who had witnessed the entire defensive sequence, recognized that Lieutenant Commander Chen's martial arts performance revealed background that exceeded anything he had suspected. Lieutenant Commander Chen, Stevens said with obvious respect and amazement. Your defensive techniques and martial arts capabilities suggest specialized training that exceeds most military personnel. Your ability to intercept that thrown knife indicates proven martial arts experience at master levels. Lieutenant Commander Chen's response began to provide insight into training that most medical personnel never receive. Chief Stevens, previous assignments required medical personnel to develop defensive capabilities when operational situations demanded personal protection skills. Medical support in certain environments often requires martial arts training that exceeds standard medical education. But Stevens recognized that Lieutenant Commander Chen's explanation, while accurate, didn't fully reveal the extent of her martial arts training or the specialized background that had enabled such extraordinary defensive performance. Later that afternoon, Stevens received authorization to access classified personnel records that revealed information explaining Lieutenant Commander Chen's exceptional martial arts capabilities and specialized background. The classified records disclosed that Lieutenant Commander Chen had earned master-level black belts in multiple martial arts disciplines before entering medical training. Her specialized education included instruction in defensive techniques that were designed for personnel who operated in environments where personal protection skills were essential for survival. Her true background included training with some of the world's most elite martial arts masters, specializing in defensive applications that were used by personnel who faced genuine life-threatening situations. Her martial arts expertise had been proven effective in actual defensive scenarios during previous assignments that required both medical skills and personal protection capabilities. The records revealed that Lieutenant Commander Chen had been selected for specialized training that integrated medical expertise with martial arts mastery, preparing her to function as both trauma specialist and defensive expert during operations that required personnel who could provide medical care while protecting themselves and others from hostile action. Stevens immediately requested a private meeting with Lieutenant Commander Chen to discuss her martial arts background and defensive training, understanding that her capabilities represented training and experience that exceeded most military personnel. Lieutenant Commander Chen, Stevens said during their private conversation, learning about your martial arts background explains everything we observed about your defensive capabilities and reaction speeds. Your martial arts mastery exceeds most active military personnel. Lieutenant Commander Chen accepted the opportunity to discuss her background and the specialized training that had prepared her for integrated medical and defensive operations. Chief Stevens, the training I received was designed to prepare medical personnel for environments where conventional medical support wasn't sufficient and personal protection skills were essential for mission success. Over the following days, more details about Lieutenant Commander Chen's background began to emerge through official channels and conversations with personnel who had clearance to discuss her classified martial arts training. Her martial arts experience was extraordinary, even by military standards, and her defensive expertise had contributed to mission success during operations that required both medical excellence and personal protection capabilities. Her training encompassed proven effectiveness in actual defensive situations that had tested her martial arts abilities under genuine threat conditions. What we're learning, Stevens explained to his training staff during a classified briefing, is that Lieutenant Commander Chun represents martial arts capabilities that integrate defensive mastery with medical expertise. Her training demonstrates how medical personnel can be prepared to function as both medical specialists and defensive experts. Her assignment to SEAL training was designed to provide medical support that could also enhance defensive training through her martial arts expertise, while evaluating candidate development from the perspective of someone who had proven both medical and defensive capabilities under actual threat conditions. Upon learning about the candidate's recognition of her martial arts capabilities, Lieutenant Commander Chin worked with the training staff to develop enhanced defensive training that incorporated lessons learned from her actual martial arts experience and defensive operations. The training I received, Lieutenant Commander Chun explained to the candidates during a special defensive technique session, taught me that effective personal protection requires martial arts skills that can function under actual threat conditions. Defensive capabilities often require immediate response to genuine threats using techniques that have been proven effective in real-world applications. Her enhanced defensive training scenarios included realistic threat response situations where candidates had to apply martial arts techniques under actual pressure, defensive coordination exercises that tested their ability to protect themselves and others simultaneously, and reaction training that developed the split-second response capabilities required for survival in hostile environments. The training instructors who learned about Lieutenant Commander Chin's martial arts background became eager students of her defensive expertise. Her martial arts experience was integrated with their defensive training knowledge, creating educational opportunities that reflected the complex skills required for actual personal protection under threat conditions. Working with Lieutenant Commander Chun, Stevens told the candidates, demonstrates why effective defensive training requires martial arts capabilities that have been proven under actual threat conditions. Her martial arts mastery represents the highest standards of defensive excellence that define personal protection skills. The candidates quickly learned that Lieutenant Commander Chin's martial arts experience provided insights that enhanced every aspect of their defensive training. Her understanding of threat response, defensive coordination, and martial arts applications under pressure created learning opportunities that exceeded anything available through conventional defensive instruction. Martinez, who had recognized Lieutenant Commander Chin's exceptional reflexes, became one of her most dedicated students. "Ma'am, your martial arts mastery has completely changed how I understand defensive capabilities. Your proven effectiveness under actual threat conditions provides insights into personal protection that we could never develop through conventional training." Thompson, who had theorized about her specialized background, gained new appreciation for martial arts expertise applied to military operations. "Lieutenant Commander Chun, your defensive capabilities that I attributed to specialized training. Now I understand they came from martial arts mastery that has been proven effective under genuine threat conditions." Stevens, who had recognized her martial arts potential, found his assessment confirmed beyond his expectations. "Ma'am, working with you has shown me that the most effective defensive training comes from instructors whose martial arts capabilities have been tested under actual threat situations." The enhanced defensive training programs that Lieutenant Commander Chin developed were eventually adopted throughout Naval Special Warfare Command, establishing new standards for personal protection that prepared SEAL operators for threat response using proven martial arts techniques. Her methods influenced defensive training worldwide and enhanced the effectiveness of personal protection skills under actual threat conditions. Her martial arts expertise became a symbol of the integration of medical excellence with defensive mastery that defined comprehensive operational readiness. Her training methods demonstrated how specialized skills could be integrated to achieve capabilities that exceeded what either medical or defensive training could accomplish independently. The story of Lieutenant Commander Chin's revealed martial arts background became legendary at the training facility, shared with new classes as an example of how extraordinary defensive capabilities often serve through assignments that conceal specialized martial arts training behind medical responsibilities. The most important lesson you can learn here, defensive instructors would tell new candidates, is that martial arts mastery often comes in unexpected forms. The person providing your medical support might be someone who's achieved defensive excellence that exceeds most military personnel. Years later, when Lieutenant Commander Chin transitioned to other assignments, her legacy lived on in the enhanced defensive training programs she developed and in the understanding that true martial arts excellence often requires maintaining readiness while serving through whatever assignments best support current operational requirements. Her story reminded everyone that in naval special warfare, as throughout the special operations community, the most dangerous assumptions are those made about medical personnel who seem to fit perfectly into support roles, because the most exceptional martial arts masters are often those who choose to serve through assignments that hide their extraordinary defensive accomplishments behind compassionate professional responsibilities. Lieutenant Commander Chin's revealed martial arts background became synonymous with the understanding that defensive excellence represents capabilities that continue serving through whatever assignments best support current operational requirements. Her example demonstrated that the most effective military training is often enhanced by personnel whose specialized martial arts expertise remains carefully concealed behind routine professional duties. The moment when she had caught the thrown knife with bare hands had lasted only seconds, but its impact continued for years, reminding everyone that extraordinary martial arts capabilities often hide behind medical assignments, and that the people trusted with medical responsibilities may be the ones with the most proven defensive expertise to share about protection and survival when genuine threats emerge. The sight of a combat knife being intercepted mid-flight by barehanded techniques had demonstrated not just individual capability, but broader understanding of how specialized training creates readiness that transcends official assignments. Lieutenant Commander Chin's willingness to serve through medical assignments showed that true martial arts mastery continues through whatever roles best serve current operational requirements. The enhanced defensive training protocols that emerged from Lieutenant Commander Chin's martial arts experience created new standards for personal protection that recognized the value of training informed by actual threat response using proven defensive techniques. Her methods were studied and implemented across multiple special operations services, establishing her as a pioneer in integrated defensive education. The candidates who trained under Lieutenant Commander Chin's enhanced programs consistently demonstrated superior defensive capabilities, threat response, and personal protection skills compared to candidates trained under conventional methods. Her influence on defensive training extended far beyond the specific incident that had revealed her martial arts background. Martinez, who had recognized her exceptional reflexes, eventually completed SEAL training and became a defensive techniques instructor himself. Throughout his career, he credited Lieutenant Commander Chin's example with teaching him that martial arts excellence requires maintaining readiness regardless of current assignment. Lieutenant Commander Chin didn't just teach me about defensive techniques, Martinez would tell his students years later. She taught me that true martial arts masters are always ready to respond when genuine threats emerge, regardless of their current responsibilities. Thompson, who had theorized about her specialized background, also completed SEAL training and advanced to security positions. His experience learning Lieutenant Commander Chin's true background influenced his approach to threat response throughout his career. What I learned from Lieutenant Commander Chin, Thompson would explain to junior personnel, is that exceptional defensive capabilities often come in unexpected forms, and that the most effective martial arts training is often provided by those whose skills have been proven under actual threat conditions. This story was brought to you by Silent Salute. Before we leave you today, here's our question. Have you ever witnessed someone demonstrate extraordinary physical skills that far exceeded their apparent role or background? Have you encountered people whose specialized abilities remained hidden until a moment of crisis revealed their true capabilities? Tell us in the comments about the moments when you realized someone possessed skills that exceeded your understanding of their background. And if you believe that true mastery reveals itself when it matters most, hit that subscribe button to support our channel. Every story reminds us that extraordinary capabilities often hide behind routine assignments, and that the people we notice least may be the ones with the most specialized expertise to share when critical moments demand exceptional response. We'll see you in the next story, where we'll discover another incredible tale of hidden mastery and unexpected skill revelation.